At one point, though, a man came...
Oh, no! Nah. Sup? Though I'm recording? I am. Jesus Christ.
When I was a kid.
You know what I found out? We're 4 seconds in the video and I'm already pausing. You know what I found out? I don't know if there's Chuck E. Cheese's outside of America, but in America alone, there's like 400, over 400, but less than 500 locations in America. That's disturbing.
To Chuck E. Cheese a number of times. It was pretty popular back then for kids to go to for birthday parties or for whatever reason. I always loved going there, and every part about it...
Look at my man's nostrils. Look at my man's nostrils.
...was cool. But one time, when I was about 8 years old, that all changed. I was invited to my friend's birthday party, and it would be at the local Chuck E. Cheese. He was a friend of mine and classmate from school. I think his name was Ben, and we weren't really that great of friends, but he invited like 20 people. The party was that Saturday, and the neighborhood that I lived in was really close by to the Chuck E. Cheese. In fact, I could walk there if I wanted to. So on Saturday, my parents actually did in fact let me walk there. It took me under 10 minutes, and our neighborhood was very safe that I was aware of.
So what?
I don't remember any crime happening.
So what? I don't give a damn about that. I don't care if you got the safest neighborhood in the entire world. I don't care if you live in the most dangerous neighborhood in the world. Cluckness is cluckness. It don't discriminate. It don't pick sides. Kind of. If you have on Adidas, then cluckness really doesn't happen to you like that. It happens to you, but not. Look like he got on like Chucks, Taylors. It usually happens to more people that have, that don't have Adidas. So, if you have Adidas, you're pretty much cool. If you don't, sorry.
Or ever feeling scared to leave my house. I got to the Chuck E. Cheese and was one of the first kids there. I talked to Ben, and pretty quickly a bunch of other kids started showing up. After that, I don't remember a whole lot.
I just realized that this is this is nighttime spooks. Jesus, I hope I didn't react to this. Because I hope this is not like an animated version of one of his stories.
Playing arcade games, eating pizza, and drinking soda. It was a pretty fun time, just like any other experience that I had at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. There were other people there too, but for my friend's party, they had rented off a little room of space. He had cake as well, and the party lasted for...
Hey, Chuck, you want to back the hell up? You right here. You right here. You right here. You want to back the hell up, please? Jesus Christ.
Probably 2 or 3 hours. Then, when people started to leave, I decided to go home. I remember I told Ben's parents that I was going to walk home, and they offered to give me a ride. I told them how close I lived, and they made sure that my parents knew I was walking home, but they said it was okay. So then I left. I was happy to walk back by myself because it made me feel older than I actually was.
Oh, yeah.
And when I walked home on that day, everything was fine. I took the sidewalk past the Chuck E. Cheese and behind it. That led right into the residential neighborhood that I lived in. Then I just walked a few blocks and only had to turn once. It was still daytime and just seemed like a regular Saturday to me. I don't remember noticing anything out of the ordinary. I made it home, and after getting there, I don't really remember what I did for the rest of the day. Probably just the typical stuff of watching TV or playing video games. I lived with my parents and younger brother in a 1-story house that wasn't really that big or small. I went to bed that night, and this is where things get really creepy. I had my bedroom all to myself, and my window was next to my bed and looked out to the backyard. At some point in the middle of the night, I woke up. I'm not really sure why I did, but when I did, I was really groggy and kind of looked around my room wondering what time it was. I then sat up to look at my clock/radio that was on my nightstand next to me. It was then that I realized something was outside of my window. My blinds covered the window, but they were open partly. Then I remember looking over to see a large Chuck E. Cheese mask. It was the mask of the mouse, and somebody was standing there wearing it over their head.
That's a scary ass sight. I was going to say which kind of like mascot is the scariest, but I feel like they're all pretty much the same. Because I was going to say what? Chuck E. Cheese mascot, McDonald's mascot, Burger King, Wendy's, and if Walmart had a mascot.
And staring into my window. The feeling that I got when I saw it was the most scared I had ever been, for sure. I was also shocked, and I just couldn't believe it. It was so random and bizarre. I moved back and got off of my bed. Then
Hey, to be honest, if we being like a real, can we keep it a buck? You were just kicking it with about 20, 30 other people there, right? Around your age, and Chucky, right? Y'all was just cooling it. Y'all was kikiing it. Y'all was giggling. Y'all was, chopping it up, cheat, right? You see him outside, right outside your house. I lie to you not. I thought he was going to be like, hey, Chucky! Yo, my boy! What's up? Hey, get your cluck ass out of here, though. Appreciate you. Go ahead that way, please. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah. Hey, you my boy. I clucks with you. And I love you. But, like, nah.
away and into my brother's bedroom. He was fast asleep, and I just kind of stood in there for a while, just inside the doorway, not knowing what to do. Eventually, I went into the living room and turned on the TV.
Hey! Yo, can you imagine what his brother would have said? His brother was asleep, but then he turned over. He turned the other way. he sees his little brother. He was like just standing there looking at him. If I was the older brother, I would have been like, I would have turned. The clock. What you doing? Just standing there. What the hell?
I didn't want to wake anybody else up, but I also didn't want to go back into my bedroom, and I couldn't sleep. I don't recall hearing anything else strange, and I didn't see the guy for the rest of the night. Eventually, I fell asleep on the living room couch.
Oh my God. Yo, neck. I don't know if this is a shadow or if this is a pillow. Because if it's no pillow right here, your neck gonna be crazy.
When my parents and brother got up, they asked me what I was doing on the couch, and I remembered the whole thing and told it to them. They were confused, and I think they believed me, but it was just such a weird situation. I even questioned myself many times if I actually saw what I think I did. I definitely was not half asleep though. I know that I was wide awake. We went outside and saw something extremely creepy. Just below my window on the grass, there were some Chuck E. Cheese tickets. I never saw the guy again or experienced anything like that after. I wonder if it was somebody from Chuck E. Cheese who followed me home or something. To me, that makes the most sense. But like I said, I didn't notice anything unusual. Still to this day, I'm left with many questions about that experience.
I hope you never went back to Chuck E. Cheese after that.
This is something that happened almost 10 years ago now.
Oh, Jesus.
It was 2015, and at the time, I was a divorced mother of a 10-year-old boy.
Oh, man.
I enjoyed spending time with my son, and we would do fun things together all the time. One night, I took him to Chuck E. Cheese. It was fairly busy, and there were a lot of other people there. My son always loved going there, and I would usually just sit at a table as he played the games. He was old enough that I didn't need to always keep an eye on him, so I sat at one of the tables and went on my phone. On this night in particular, I was pretty much by myself at one of the tables. My son was in the arcade somewhere.
Okay, but you said you don't always keep an eye on him, but you glance up, right? Like you be on your phone, but you hit me with one of these, right? You be on your phone, and you be like, right? Because I haven't seen you look up once.
Nobody was sitting immediately near me. At one point, though, a man came...
Oh, no! Nah! Because, sir! Where do you come from?
Table. I didn't see where he had come from. I just noticed when he sat down, and I looked up to see him there.
Not at the same table. That's beyond crazy. That's insanity. That's blasphemy. Blasphemous? HD blasphemy. Doesn't he have a YouTube? Isn't there a YouTube channel? It's like a black guy. He bald. It's blasphemy, something. And he reacts to videos, or at least I think he did. Blasphemy HD, something like that.
He looked to be around my age, so roughly late 30s, and had really short blonde hair.
God damn.
I was a little bit confused by why he was sitting at my table, and I looked up at him. That's when he just stated that his kid loved Chuck E. Cheese. I said that mine did too, and we talked very briefly about our kids.
I'm just like, how are you this okay? How are you not worried? How are you just A-okay with a random ass stranger that looked crazy? Blonde hair, blonde beard, right? Pale ass skin, no lotion, right? Got the pearly whites on, right? With all kinds of cluck vibes going on. And you just talking to him like he a family member, like he a best friend, like he like y'all were tailgating each other, right, to go to Chuck E. Cheese, but somehow he got lost, right? So you already there, and then like 30 minutes go by, then he pops up, now he's sitting.
I don't remember much of what he said, because I was still confused as to why he had come up to me in the first place. He must have sensed my confusion, because he then stuck out his hand for me to shake and introduced himself.
I wanna sit, bitch!
To me. He said that his name was Dave, and I gave my name to him. Then he said that he better get going, and he got up and walked away. I watched him walk back into the arcade and out of my sight. The whole encounter was a little bit strange.
A little?
I stayed where I was for probably another 30 minutes or so. I didn't see Dave at all for the rest of the night. After my son had used up all of his tokens, he came over and got something with his tickets, and then we left. It was the next day that I was on Facebook when I saw that I had a friend request from a guy named Dave. At first, I didn't know who he was, so I clicked on his profile. I then realized that it was the same man who had talked to me at Chuck E. Cheese the previous night.
I want to say this is kind of familiar, but I don't really know.
This was kind of weird, because I had only given him my first name, and I wasn't really sure how he found me.
Oh.
We didn't have any mutual friends or anything.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot on his profile as far as information or pictures either. I don't really know why, but I accepted his friend request.
I remember this one. Okay.
Unless it was obviously a robot or something, I would kind of automatically accept everyone. But that proved to be a mistake, as only about an hour later, he started sending me messages. He started out by saying hi and asking what I was doing. I wasn't interested in talking to him, to be honest, and I didn't respond. He kept sending me messages, though.
So if he wasn't interested at all, when he sat down at your table, you should have got right back up and just left somewhere.
Next day, there was about 10 more unread messages that I had from him. I finally decided to respond and ask him why he was sending me so many messages. He replied saying because I wasn't responding. He then asked me if I wanted to hang out with him, and I told him no thanks, and that's when his mood started to change. He started cursing me out and calling me things that I won't repeat here. I told him that if he didn't stop messaging me, I was going to block him.
I feel like you're the type of person to have your address just on any social media at all times, 24 hours a day. You just have your address just for the public. Like you go to the bio and your address is just there. Like, god damn. Like, it doesn't matter what you got. You got Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? YouTube, right? You go to their bio, you go to like their info type page, and it's like your address is right there. Like, I feel like you one of those. You know why I feel like that? Because you gave me your real name.
That's when he said something that really made me worried. He said something like, "Go ahead, I know where you live." It gave me the chills to read it, because based on his behavior, I thought that maybe he did somehow know. He then said that he didn't even have a kid. I blocked him and reported his account for harassment to Facebook. I just hoped that that would be it and I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore. For a few days, I didn't hear from Dave or see him at all. But then, one night, he came to my house. Luckily, my son wasn't home at the time and was at a friend's house. It was probably about 8 or 9 p.m. and I would be leaving to pick up my son soon. There was a knock on my front door to the house. And I knew instantly, based on how late it was, that it was probably Dave. My heart was racing as I walked over to look out one of the front windows. He knocked on the door again as I saw him standing there. I wasn't going to answer it.
Homie still got, go back. Homie still got the same shit on. That's crazy.
He knocked on the door again as I saw him standing there. I wasn't going to answer it, but soon he started yelling. I heard him say that he knew I was home and to open up the door. I was thinking that this guy had to have been crazy or something. He started looking around to the windows, and I quickly moved away.
The motherfucker scared me. You saw me? I jumped like a motherfucker.
I knew that this was grounds to call the police, and I got my phone from the counter and dialed 911. As I was talking to the operator, Dave started yelling something else, but I wasn't paying attention to him. I was told that a police officer was in the area and would head over. I figured they would be there in a couple of minutes, and I started to feel better. Meanwhile, Dave kept knocking on the door. He was clearly angry now, and I heard him yell at me that if I didn't open the door for him, he was going to break in. That's when the relief that I felt went away, and I was just as worried as I had ever been. I still didn't bother to say anything back to Dave, though. Instead, I moved into my hallway and entered the bathroom. Then I closed the door and locked it, and hoped that Dave wouldn't actually try to break in. The bathroom had a small window that faced our backyard. At first, when I was in there, things were quiet now that I was farther away from Dave. I could barely hear the knocking, but then the knocking stopped. Probably about 2 minutes later, I then heard noises coming from the backyard. It sounded like Dave was possibly banging on the kitchen window. This only lasted for a few seconds though, and then it stopped. I didn't hear anything for a few minutes after that. The next thing I knew, I got a call from the police saying that they were there.
You got a
I
call?
left my bathroom and saw several officers outside of my house with flashing lights. They had actually caught Dave, and I was told that he had been hiding in my backyard. I pressed charges against him for harassment and later got a restraining order. I'm happy to say that I've never seen him since then. When I was a kid, one of my classes in school won a field trip to Chuck E. Cheese. I don't remember at all how or why we won it, but I know that we were all very excited. I had only been to Chuck E. Cheese one previous time, and I think I was about 10 years old back then. When it was time for class that day, we all met in the classroom and then walked out to the bus. I remember that it was a great feeling leaving school during a school day to go to Chuck E. Cheese. We rode the bus for about 10 minutes to get there, and then we went inside. This Chuck E. Cheese was...
Damn! I think I remember this one too. Damn. It's fine. It's cool. It's just reacting to the animated version of another horror story. It's basically reacting to like the same thing. You just get like a visual.
Located near a strip mall at the local shopping area for our city. It wasn't very busy being a weekday during the daytime, and there was probably about 20 or 30 of us kids total. We all got a number of tokens to play the games, and there were a few pizzas for us.
Go back! Go back! Everything about Chuck E. Cheese is creepy as shit. Everything. Everything. Look at them damn coins. God damn. Granted, I have a kind of like a somewhat different reaction if I react to like the animated version of a horror story that I already seen. But still, it's like I kind of want to react to like new horror stories. But if I ever react to like something like this, but it's all I don't really know how to explain it. But I don't mind doing this. It's just sometimes I will have a different reaction because now I can have a visual. But
and there were a few pizzas for us as well. We all started running around playing the arcade games and stuff. It was turning out to be one of the best school days of my life to that point. But I remembered that about 30 minutes in or so, I was looking for a new game to play. I just kind of wandered off to the corner by myself just to see everything that was over there. That particular area didn't have a whole lot, and there was nobody else really in that area. I walked past a couple of those car racing game machines, I think. Well, between them and another game, I saw a grown man crouched down like he was hiding. He was really hard to see, and I'm surprised that I even saw him at all, to be honest. When I did, I first started to walk past, but I realized I saw somebody, and I stopped. Then I went closer to examine and see if there actually was a man there. When I did, I got within about 50 feet of the guy, and he turned and looked at me. I gave him probably a confused look, but didn't say anything. He then smiled and put his finger up to his mouth, signaling me to be quiet. I guess this guy was playing hide and seek with maybe a kid or something. It seemed really weird, but I didn't think too much of it. I kind of nodded back to him and then left him alone. I kept moving, trying to decide which game that I would play next. After not finding anything in that corner that I wanted to play, I started to move back over to the other games. But not far from that area, I found a game and started to play it. I was at that game for maybe 5 minutes or so. At one point of being there, I happened to look over to the quiet corner that I had been at before. I don't know why, but I just did. It was near where I had seen the man who had been hiding. But now I saw the guy again. He was standing up and with a girl who was not in my class. She appeared to be younger than me, and at first I figured that she was his daughter. But I noticed that they were walking towards the emergency exit, and the way the guy looked, I just had a bad feeling. Something just wasn't right, and I decided to walk over.
you think?
I had no plan and didn't know what I was going to do or say. I started walking straight for the guy, and he then saw me. What happened next was really surprising. He had been holding on to the little girl's hand, and then he let her go. Then he walked towards the exit door and left. The girl remained inside, standing there. I guess it wasn't an emergency exit, because no kind of alarm or anything went off, but the guy was now gone. I walked over to the girl and asked her if she knew that guy. She didn't say anything to me, but shook her head no. After that, I walked with her back over to my teacher and told her about what had happened. The man was long gone, though. I'm not really sure what else was done, because I went back over to the arcade, and I don't remember a whole lot of details after, but I'm glad that I saw the man both times. Something about him just seemed suspicious from the start.
Everything!
I trusted my instincts, and my instincts were right.
Bro, anytime somebody does this to you, report him.
When I was a little younger, I worked at a Chuck E. Cheese. It was for a stretch of about a year, back in 2016. The job was pretty average for me. I had worked at a couple of somewhat similar places, like a bowling alley and a restaurant. I was in college, so I was part-time and would not have the most consistent hours. This story takes place on a Thursday night when I was working a later shift until close. At the Chuck E. Cheese that I worked at, we had a break room in the back for employees. It was kind of what you would expect in an average break room. There were a few tables and chairs, and there was a fridge and a vending machine as well. After working a few hours of my shift, it was time for me to take one of my breaks. We didn't have a whole lot of employees working at once, so there would often only be one of us taking breaks at a time. When I got to the break room and walked inside, I sat down at a table. Then I started to just go on my phone like I always did. There was also a little TV in there that was on some random channel at a low volume. But as I sat in there, I thought I heard a noise. I didn't know what it was though, because I was the only person in there. I was looking around, sort of confused. That's when I suddenly saw in the corner,
oh my God,
behind the vending machine, somebody was there. I just barely saw part of their body, and only because I leaned my body over a little and looked. As I did this, the person suddenly stood up. It was a man, and I don't know who he was. I remember that he had a beard and kind of messy hair. As he stood up, I was too surprised to say anything at first. But then I noticed the man was walking towards me. He didn't say anything as he did. The way that he was walking towards me was like he was trying to sneak up on me, but I could see him the whole time.
It looks like there's only one way in and one way out that break room. It could be an emergency door. I just don't know because I haven't seen it. But if there's only one way in and one way out, I would have just left. And I would have just tried to hold that door closed and called the police. Or I would have just left.
He creeped me out. And finally, when he was less than 10 feet away, I stood up. I said something like, "What are you doing, man?" The man did not answer me and kept getting closer. I turned and ran out of there as fast as I could. I didn't look back and ran all the way to the front of the building. It was a quiet night, and there weren't too many customers in the arcade or anything.
There's no customers.
I just wanted to get to the area with the most people, though. I found one of my coworkers and let them know about the guy. We debated whether we should go back to the break room or not. The guy might have been dangerous. After probably a 5-minute discussion, we decided to go back there. I walked back to the break room with my coworker. When we got there, the door was closed. We knocked and let the man know that he had to leave, but we got no answer. My coworker then opened the door against my warning. When we looked inside, though, the man was nowhere to be seen. The entire break room was messed up. Tables were flipped over, chairs were upside down and on top of tables. The fridge was open, and the garbage was tipped over and spilled. He basically trashed the room. We searched it, but he was gone. I guess he must have left after I had run out. We cleaned up the mess, which took about 10 minutes. But in all honesty, I was just glad that the man was gone, and he didn't hurt anyone. That was my scariest experience working at Chuck E. Cheese.
Your coworker could have handled that shit. I would have just left, never looked back. I would have got my little bonus. I would have got paid time and a half. I would have got paid from Chuck E. Cheese, a full check, a real check from Chuck E. Cheese that covered my, my scaredness, my I was hurt in the process. My spirit was hurt. I was physically hurt. My mental, I wasn't right in the head. I was scheduled for the rest of the week, but I just left that Monday the same day. I kind of scuffed up my Adidas, so a good like $2 million from Chuck E. Cheese. That would have been, I would have been cool off that. It's Chuck E. Cheese. It's Chuck E. Cheese. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy. My family.